Everything you need to know about an AK-SC255 controller. Let's find out. Everything you need to know about an AK-SC255 controller. What do we need to do? How do we use this thing? What do we do? Okay, so first off, you can just hit escape and then it opens up the screen. So let's say, you go to a store, you go to refrigeration, you hit enter. Right, you're on refrigeration, you can select from your racks by using up and down. Okay, and then you just hit enter again. Now you have suction groups, you have evaporators, condenser, receiver, and alarms. We have all these different things. So first off, we're going to go to suction groups. So we only have one suction group on this rack. Okay, so we're going to hit enter. Right? Now if you look at here, we can see this is its status. Okay, maintaining capacity, its actual target, what's the suction pressure, 18, its target is 15. Okay, it's equivalent to a negative 23 degree suction group right now. And this is what it's dealing with. The discharge is 168, and how many compressors on there? 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you hit over right now, you can see across the bottom you have this selection. Okay, this is how you can select into things. So all the way over here, you can have history. Okay, and hit over. User screen. Over, suction, over, settings. So down here, so even though this says suction, right, this selection down here is concerned with whatever you're currently in. So on every menu you'll get a selection. So these settings are the settings for your suction group. Schedules, alarms, and then service, right? So first off, we're going to go to settings. Settings is a good one. You hit on settings. Now we can change things on here. So now if we hit up, it'll highlight up there. So now we can look. Float on suction, none. Then we go up. Set point, we can go over. Cut out, 2 degrees. Discharge safety, cut in, cut out, right there. So in order to change these, all we do is we just hit the number. So we just go here and we hit 1. And then it's going to come up with authorization, and you put in your code. You put in your code, we're just going to, again, hit 160. Now that changes to 16, you hit enter. Now it's changed. It's that simple. So we're going to change it back to 15. Enter. And so whenever you're on a settings, you just kind of start typing it in and then it'll change it. Now if you hit escape, like so, we're going to go back in here. And now we're going to go across the bottom again. We're going to go to service. And in service, this is where you have your auto manual relays. So this is important. So if you go into here, you have compressor 1, compressor 2, compressor 3, all have to do with your suction group. We have auto manual inputs, phase loss, sensor adjustment. So we have the suction pressure, discharge pressure, drop leg, and then we have down here the board and point locations, which tells us it actually goes into the board and point locations of the entire system. I'm fairly certain. So if you look, we can scroll through. So again, we have another little bottom scroll menu. And on that bottom scroll menu, we're going to hit on board and point again. We have relays, sensors, on and off inputs, variable outputs, and other controls, right? So we're going to select sensors, and we can go to see our sensors, and then it tells us our board and point right there. Now from previous videos, I'm just going to show you. So 01-1.1. So obviously, this is just a Danfoss controller. It's the same way to find board and points like on any other Danfoss controller, okay? You got to find your board. So for instance, this is board number 4. This is 4-4.1. Well, it's actually 4-1. This is 1. This is actually labeled incorrectly. And then the point is down there. Right? And so if we go over here, you can actually see if it doesn't have these nice labels, we'll be able to see over there we have these rotary dials over there, and you can see that first rotary dial is set to 4 right there, okay? So basically, let's say I want 0.4-1.1, right? So I'm going to come 4-1.1. Now, depending on what you want, so if we remove this, we just squeeze in those things. You can see on the top, those are analog inputs. See on the bottom, those are digital outputs. So those are relays, right? So if I want a relay that is 4-1 0.1, it's going to be that first relay right there. If I want an analog input, which is a sensor, which is 4-1.1, it's going to be this top one up there, this analog input, okay? So that's how you do your board and points. It's the same, you know, with any Danfoss controller. So I'm going to put this back on, all right? And we're going to walk back over to the controller. So you can find your board and points to anywhere by getting to it through that menu, okay? Now if we hit escape and we go back, you can also actually get your board and point by going back further, and you can go down to configuration, refrigeration, rack A, and I think you can get through your board and points that way as well, but it's more streamlined to do it the other way. Now we're back in here, so we just looked through our suction group. Oh, I forgot. One more thing, we're back in our suction group again, so I hit enter a bunch of times. We're going to go across the bottom, go to service, menu relays, auto on. Now if we want to change a relay, you hit edit, and then you scroll down, enter, manual on, just like that. I'm going to go back up, edit, auto, good to go, okay? That's kind of how you have to address every single relay in the controller. Now we're going to come back out of here. Now we're going to go to evaporators. So remember, we're in rack A. Now we go to evaporators, and now this just gives us a list of all the evaporators that we got. Right, gives us the current, the target, right, and right here, that tells us what's going on. So the I's mean that it's at thermostat cut-in. And if it was a D, that would mean that it's in defrost. And if it's an M, that means that it's manually on, okay? So we're gonna hit enter on there. Now we're in here, and again, we're at the status. We can see everything. 9, the range, the control. Now again, across the bottom, we have these same menus. So we can go over to settings, we can set the target, we can set the average, and if we go over some more, we can go to service, and then we have sensors. So we can, again, turn on electric defrost, we can turn on refrigeration, the anti-sweats, and then if we come down to here to manual defrost, we can actually go up to there, hit edit, and then we can turn manual defrost on. I'm not going to, but you can. Now, if your system's in the middle of a defrost, you go to the manual defrost and you hit manual off to take it out of defrost. So let's say you just de-iced the case or something like that, you know, you're there for a while, you know, when doing that. Anyway, we're gonna go back. So again, you got board and point locations. Again, then now you have alarm generation. So let's say, you know, this is on case A1. We can suspend the alarm for however we want. So we can go down to status. So we hit up, status, edit, on, and then we can put on, you know, timeout after 120 minutes, and we can edit that too, just like I showed you. Sensor adjustment. Obviously, you can put the offsets that you want on the sensors. And in this manual one, you hit edit, and you can change that to manual and manually input the value. So you can see if I go back and forth, I can select what I want. Now if we come back out, now another thing worth mentioning is, so let's say we select the case and we want to go quickly from case to case, we just hit next, next, and you can go see about the top, A1, A2, next, A3, next, A4, and we can go back with previous. Now another thing you should also know is page up and page down is how you move quickly on the menus. Now back in here, we go to schedules. Okay, you can see that this is where we get our defrost number of times per day. And we're gonna go back again, go back in, and we're gonna go over here to history. Now in history, you can get this log right here that if I hit up, you know, I can hit page down and page up to scroll in this log. And then across the bottom, we have some menus down here, and I can hit graph, and it will graph the system, just like that. Now I can, you know, go back again, and back again. Then so you have the same exact thing. You got the menus across the bottom. You have, you know, what the target is, what the temperature currently is, and then you even have, you know, I'm going to select it. You have across the bottoms, you have settings. So again, schedule, settings, you can change your settings. You can go over to to this service one over there again, and you got your manual relays and whatever you got to do, just like we did in all the other ones. Sensors, adjustments, maintenance, outlets, and border point locations, just like we've gone through with everything on the other menu. Now we have receiver. Go into the receiver, and it's just, you know, the receiver level, not rocket science. Now we have alarms. So this is important. This is where you find alarms, and this is your active alarms. Now, if you want to go back here further, so this is as far back as you can go, home menu. Now, if you want to go down to this alarm, you can go to acknowledged alarms, and you can also go down to cleared alarms, and it'll tell you all the cleared alarms that you have on page and down. You know, if you're going to a store where an alarm just cleared, just so you can find evidence that, okay, the manager's not crazy, it was in that way. It was just an alarm. Really good trick too, if you go to alarms and you go to alarm status, you see this over here where it says okay, that means that those cases are not about to alarm. So you hit page down, and then you can go through and look at all your cases. Now if you find numbers, for instance 59, 60 along the side, that means something has started the alarm countdown. Okay, and it is about to alarm, and you should maybe consider looking at it. So we go through the whole thing, and this is really good after you fix something. You can kind of look through and say, okay, nothing seems to be like it's going to go into alarm anymore. So another note, when you graph, so I'm down here for graph again, right? If you go up, you can see that this is the dates that you're graphing between. So if you wanted, you could hit edit, and you can change, you know, what you want. Like let's say I want to do, you know, as you can see it right there. So let's say I want to do yesterday, which is the 6th, the same time. I hit enter, and then it goes as far as it's capable of. So yesterday at 11:28 to, you know, 11:50 at night for 12 hours, and I can go over and hit graph, and it'll graph it for me. Also can hit the stat button here and hit enter. It'll come up 24 hours, sets through, gives you the data points, minimum, maximum, maximum. You can kind of set everything in your data here, kind of figure it out. Mainly you're just going to be playing, I think, with this right there, if you play with anything at all. If you want to reset it back to normal, you hit snapshot, and the whole thing goes back to where it was. So you just enter on snapshot, good to go. Other things that are important to know is you go to configuration, right, and go to refrigeration. We can get this by boarding points anyway, but we're going to get through it from here. Boarding points, right? And then you go to sensor. We're going to go to sensor inputs across the bottom. So while you're in here, you hit up. You can change your boarding point by hitting edit and changing it. Or I can go over to my sensor type by hitting over. You can change the kind of sensor you have by hitting edit, scrolling through, and hitting enter. Okay? So now you can change, if you put in a new sensor, you can change what your sensor happens to be. Everything on HVAC is basically the same, except instead of refrigeration, go to HVAC, and you can see you get a list of everything and the temperatures. So again, you still have the menu across the bottom. You can hit the settings, you have all the status, and then you can go over to, you know, service, and again, you get this auto manual relays where you can turn on and off the heat, the auto manual inputs, the sensor adjustment, border point locations, you know, and all that good stuff, just like we had previously. Graphing still the same. Everything about it's, you know, similar. So if I hit on rooftop unit 1, go across the bottom, the history, it'll give me the history of all the temperatures, and then I can, same exact thing. It's just a slightly different interface. Anyway, I hope that helped. Pretty much everything you need to know for a 255 controller as a technician in the period of time. I don't know how long it's going to take. Maybe 30 minutes. I don't know. Anyway, please like, subscribe, and all that. And please leave a comment below things you want to see. And yeah, that's how you do it.